Even people who like matcha may have never tasted one that's properly prepared. It shouldn't be grassy, it shouldn't be bitter, it's got this sweet, mild umami that's just gorgeous when it's made right. I lived in Japan for 10 years, and while I didn't go to Sado, which is the name for tea ceremony school, and yes, that's a real thing, I did learn from an ex-girlfriend's mum how to make matcha the right way. So if you watch this video, you'll learn how to choose the right matcha, which techniques help to unlock matcha's potential flavors, and I'll show you my two main recipes, one that will make your straight drinking matcha really smooth and not bitter, and one that goes perfectly with milk. この動画を見れば、抹茶の作り方がバッチリわかりになります。So first is the matcha itself. Which brand should you buy? Honestly, there's a bit of an obsession in the West with the term ceremonial grade, which is actually not something I saw in Japan. It's Western marketing speak, and in Japan, usually the packaging would indicate the purpose. For example, one might say shokuyo, which means culinary use, so that's your matcha sweets and pastries, or it might say matcha miruku, which is the type that's meant to mix with milk. Probably the most common one I've seen here in the UK that's actually accurate is the term uji matcha, which is an area that grows a lot of tea in Kyoto. The other most popular origins I saw in Japan were Nishio, which is in Aichi, where I lived for 2 years, or Shizuoka, which comes from very close to Mount Fuji. Japanese matcha lovers tend to focus on when the leaves were harvested, because this is what has the biggest impact on flavor. Japan is very proud of having 4 distinct seasons, unlike a lot of Asian countries, and the first harvest of tencha, which is the green tea leaves used to make matcha, is in spring around April or May, and this they call ichibancha. This matcha will be a very vibrant green and will taste sweeter as it's higher in L-theanine, which is a sweet umami flavor enhancing amino acid. Later harvests tend to be a bit darker in color, a little stronger flavor, and more bitter because they've developed more catechins and tannins. The ichibancha, that first harvest in spring, is what you're looking for if you want good matcha. So this ceremonial grade nonsense doesn't really mean anything, it kind of just obfuscates the actual value of the green tea itself. If you buy cheap matcha in the UK or US, you're probably getting a mix of ichibancha and nibancha, so you'll taste some more bitterness even if you follow my techniques later in the video. Now don't get me wrong, Japanese people are not above making crappy versions of their own stuff too, and a lot of the matcha you find in general shops in Japan is also pretty low quality. But if you want the good stuff, you have to find the right brand that gets high quality and more expensive ichibancha. I tried a bunch of brands in the UK, and honestly, at the cheaper end of the scale, they're all pretty much the same. I can't really tell the difference between the £9 Perfect Ted low-grade stuff and the slightly more expensive brands. Anything this cheap can't be that good just because of the economics, especially since there's a matcha shortage right now, which will drive up the price even more. If you're using it for matcha milk and maybe adding some honey too, a cheap one will probably be serviceable. Not amazing, but the sweetness of the milk and or the honey will make it tastier. But if you really want the good stuff, the difference is night and day. Taste them side by side if you don't believe me. I got this platinum grade matcha from Osu, and it's just delicious, as good as the best matchas I used to have in Japan. Great sweetness and none of that bitter grassiness that's the reason why a lot of people say they don't like matcha. But of course, it's more expensive at around £27 for 40 grams, which will make somewhere around 15 drinks. I think their golden grade matcha was the sweet spot in terms of price for me, as it's a little more expensive at £20, but definitely much better than the cheap stuff. So onto the tools you'll need and the proper technique to make the matcha flavors shine. Now, first thing, you should get a proper matcha whisk called the chasen if you're going to do this. You can use an electric whisk, but it's almost guaranteed to make bad matcha as it overmixes and makes your matcha more bitter. More on this in a second. A chasen is pretty cheap, like £5 or £10 on Amazon, or you can spend a bit more and get a set with a bowl called the chawan, the whisk chasen, a bamboo spoon called the chashaku, and a sifter, which is just a sifter. Cha means tea in Japanese, so that's why they all have cha in them, and the sifter is just called furui. I got this little set for around £30 I think, and they go up to maybe 50 or 60 for nicer looking stuff. I'll leave links in the description to all the stuff I'm using in this video. If you don't have a whisk, it's going to be harder to get the right texture. I did try with a nanofoamer and it did a decent job, especially making the matcha light and good for pouring matcha latte art, but it didn't taste anywhere near as good. Doing it by hand with traditional tools is still the best way in my experience. Now, before you add your matcha to the bowl, you want to heat up your kettle to 74 to 80 degrees C or 185 to 175 Fahrenheit. You should not use 100-degree freshly boiled water for matcha. It's far too hot and it'll scald the tea, leading to a lot more bitterness. 74 to 80 C is the ideal range, and if you don't have a kettle that can change the temperature, like this Varia gooseneck one I have, you can boil your kettle and pour the water out into a cold metal saucepan to cool it down, and then wait a bit before pouring it into your matcha bowl so it isn't so hot. I always pour a little hot water into the chawan and dip the chasen into it for 20 seconds or so before pouring the water out. This keeps the bowl warm and also loosens up the bamboo chasen so it's less likely to snap and break. Those bristles can be quite brittle. I have two recipes I use. If I'm drinking the matcha straight, I'll use 2 grams of sifted powder with 50 grams of water, which in Japanese would be called usui, meaning weak or mild. So that's a ratio of roughly 1 to 25 powder to water. You can adjust this based on your preference. If I want to use it for matcha milk, it helps to have a thicker texture and stronger flavor, which Japanese would say is koi. And for that, I use 3 grams with 40 grams of water, so around a 1 to 13 ratio. For measuring, it really helps to have a scale that can go to at least 0.1 of a gram. A cheap kitchen scale just isn't going to cut it for accuracy, and with such small amounts, you change the recipe a lot when you're not accurate. Think about it, 2 grams versus 2.8 grams is 40% more, so just using a spoon and guessing how much is on there is going to give you very different tasting drinks most times you make it. So the most important part, how to mix. The best way to mix is first to dab your whisk around to break up any blobs of matcha, and then start brushing. It's all in the wrist. You want to move it back and forth in an M or W shape pretty quickly as you start to see the matcha powder dissolve and a thin layer of foam form on the top like this. I usually whisk for at least 45 seconds. Don't rush this bit and just mix it because you'll get undissolved grains and you won't get that silky texture. Now there are a few tricks to doing good matcha latte art, and the first one is to mix half the water, so for my recipe about 20 ml first, while you whisk the matcha together. Then once you've whisked everything together properly, add another 20 ml of water and mix with a circular motion until combined, which will make it much less bubbly and more glossy. Tap it on the table a few times, then pour it from your chawan into a cup through a mesh sifter, which breaks up the bubbles a little bit more, and then the overfoamed top layer stays in here, which you can then discard, and your matcha is better able to combine with the milk. Usually I pour a little milk in the cup first and swirl the whole lot together a bit before continuing my pour so it's more combined and doesn't have a hard surface, which causes the milk to sort of bleed outwards a bit. Of course, I usually use my espresso machine for doing the milk, but if you don't have one of those and you still want great milk for latte art, I often use a Dreo milk frother to do the milk for me if I don't want to wait for my espresso machine to heat up. It does a great job of making microfoam for latte art, and I can usually just turn it on after the kettle's done and the milk is ready by the time I've whisked my matcha. So go and make your matcha, share your recipes in the comments, and like this video so more people like you can find it and learn how to make better matcha. ご視聴ありがとうございました。コーヒー大好きな皆さん、次の動画でお会いしましょう。